The Daybreak rewrite. More specifically, the killers. As of right now, we currently have 9 confirmed rage abilities. Idle as well, so 10. However, Idle's rage is just his active ability currently. And he also got a rework, and I want to talk about that rework a little bit in a little bit more detail later. I have made quite a few videos on Daybreak, and quite a few on the rage abilities. Like a nicer, more cohesive, hopefully, video, which also is just visually better, right? I want to explain what I personally think the issues are with the rage abilities, but the issues aren't specifically on the rage abilities, which I will get into very soon. I do want to say, you might end up disagreeing with this opinion, and I don't blame it. It's a really unpopular opinion for some reason. Killers should be counterable. Killer abilities should not be a free down. They should require skill. All of them. Some more than others. However, you shouldn't be able to just click a button and no skill is required to do anything with it. A great example of this is the Unforgotten. You could argue her counter is just running, and you'd be right. However, is that interesting? A common argument for Unforgotten to be so simple is the fact that she's supposed to be easy, and I just think that's a weak excuse. Take the Ray from DBD for example. He's very simple, however he still has a skill ceiling, which allows for people to get better with him, to get more value. However, a character like Unforgotten is very linear in what they can do. This is due to their ability being so bare. All it consists of is an AoE slow. This doesn't allow for you to truly do anything more. You're unable to aim it or predict where someone is going, as this slow doesn't have a skill flaw for that matter. A great example of a killer doing it decently right is the Warden. He has that skill flaw and ceiling which allows for diversity in his gameplay and doesn't make said gameplay so linear. Not only for the killer though, for the survivor as well. If a killer is required to use some niche, obscure tech in order to be considered strong, I'm not going to include them. As a whole, a killer like Werewolf, I don't think they are a difficult killer. A lot of other kills, I don't really know techs, not gonna lie. However, I hope you get my point. Of course, not every killer is included in the first. However, I think a massive majority of killers are. A killer like Ghost has silent phasing. However, I don't think silent phasing warrants that high of a skill ceiling. The experiment as well, hi Ghost. The experiment as well just is honestly an easier version of the Ghost, and that follows for a lot of other killers as well, a vast majority of them. Now, as much as I do really like the rage abilities, my one issue right now is the experiments. The experiment is, while you're in Umbro, you can empower it, and then when you go out, you deal damage. The issue I think with it is that it doesn't seem like the damage is unavoidable. It feels like it's something which inevitably happens and you're just not able to get away. That wouldn't be such an issue if it wasn't so easy to do. A character who's kind of similar to this is a people's hero. His ability is able to insta-down, yes. However, it also requires more skill, predicting, and we don't also know if the survivor is able to see the circles of the actual hitbox of his rage ability. Now, I don't want to talk on all of the rage abilities because a few of them do have small little flaws or are a little bit gimmicky, like Unforgotten's, especially the Empress's, Surgeons. I don't want to talk on them until we get more details about how long the quote-unquote cooldown is. Stuff like that. Now, I've spoken about this point a lot, so I don't really want to go into too much detail with it. However, in my opinion, they should be reworking killers before giving them the rage abilities. Some of the killers, I feel like the rage abilities are not going to do anything for them. The Unforgottens, I mean, if it's the exact same as her normal TP except towards a person, I don't think that's going to do anything. That's just me, that's just me. I might be wrong, however, don't think it's going to do anything. I do just want to say I apologise for the editing being a bit worse on the latter half. However, Idle. I also just didn't know what to edit. But I think I've done pretty good, right? Anyways, Idle. As a whole, changing his ability to being more skill required, you get what I mean, is a really good change. I think as a whole, really, really good change. Because he wasn't interesting before. However, as a whole, this rework does nothing. In fact, kind of makes him worse. Because his active seems to be on a shorter cooldown, 30-second cooldown, compared to what it was before, it doesn't really do anything for him as a whole. He's the same, he's worse even for gen looking, I think. And it's going to be worse because it's range, so he's going to just be able to throw it out far away, right? And he's going to be able to throw it straight away at the start of the game and hit someone and, well, possibly hit someone. Not only that, I think the one thing which is going to carry on being horrible for him is the obsession being permanent. Unless it says somewhere, that the obsession goes away, which I don't think it does. The obsession seems to be permanent, which I think will carry on being a terrible choice. Not being able to get rid of it just promotes this gameplay, and it's not changed anything, because people are going to be obsessed the whole game. And as a whole, the ability doesn't do all that much in chase. I think what would be a really good change is to give survivors like a 5%, 10% slow in terms of the walking speed, but like make the whole obsession thing, like make it so there's an action you need to do with someone else or alone, which takes some time to get rid of obsession. I don't think it's fun having it like that. Maybe even just cap the amount of obsessed people there can be on the game, but make his anti-loop ability stronger. I think that would be good. As his rage ability isn't good. Now, it's not terrible. I think I like it because it keeps his old undetectability whole thing more. However, I just don't think it's good. It depends on how long someone can be viewed for, right? But also, when you do hit that, you also can see where the person is. So also on the other hand, that is really good and also helps with undetectability, which I think is, again, good. As a whole, the change is good, I think. However, I think it's a little underbaked. It just needs a little bit more to his anti-loop. And I'm going to be honest, I don't care that he's an assault killer. I think assault killers as a whole are kind of horrible and not interesting apart from boss. A lot of them are just from other categories, but severely weakened down just to fit into the role of assault killer. As a whole, I just think needs to be changed a little bit, just buffed and nerfed. Obsession needs to be changed as a whole, make it not permanent, but then make the love letter as a thing. Maybe try make it a little bit more unique to the rest of the throwing archetypes, throwing things. It's similar to slashers, wardens. I think it'd be more interesting if, I don't know, you place it down, then you can send it, or like, I don't know. Do you get what I mean? Are you following on with what I'm trying to say? I just think it feels underbaked, and it hasn't changed him all that much. The only people it's changed him for are people who can't aim. But considering it's like there's no wind up it's not going to be that much of an issue. It's not going to be difficult, because Warden's objectively not difficult as well, due to how fast it just comes out. Yeah. Please change him a bit more. I think it'd be more interesting if he was more chase orientated, more chasing his obsession orientated. That'd be more interesting in my opinion. But yeah, I think it's a good start. I do think it's a good start. I also understand that he does want to be a gen slowdown killer as well, and keep that. I just think don't have obsession permanent, because that is boring. And in my opinion, that is one of the bigger issues of the two, no skill and obsession being permanent. End of video. Woohoo! Thank you.